I want to thank you for joining us in the 11 Breaking News Center this afternoon. I'm Lauren Watson, your digital anchor here at KKTV 11 News. I'm here to talk today with 11 Sports' Corey Roldan as we start to see the NFL free agency ramp up. Now, Corey, looking at this period of time for the Broncos, so far, who have we lost? Who have we gained? What's it looking like?
Well, as of right now, a lot more losses than gains. You got to remember last week, Denver moving on from quarterback Russell Wilson, Justin Simmons, Jerry Jeudy, and now Lloyd Cushenberry signing a deal with the Titans. Lloyd was the Broncos' best offensive lineman, the number 3 overall center, according to Pro Football Focus. That's a big loss to the Broncos' offense. As for who they signed so far, it's safety Brandon Jones from the Miami Dolphins, kind of a middle-of-the-pack safety as Denver gets younger in the secondary. Him and P.J. Locke both going to Texas, both Longhorns. And also today, they get interior defensive lineman in Malcolm Roach, a Denver Saint. Yet again, the Broncos adding to their defensive line. Malcolm Roach, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL last season for run stops. He ranked first in Pro Football Focus in terms of interior defensive linemen for run stops. They also re-signed Will Lutz, kind of a little switcheroo right there. Will Lutz supposed to go to the Jags. He instead returns to Denver. Big reason why, of course, Sean Payton having that relationship with the Saints. Also, the Broncos did re-sign a couple other players, P.J. Locke, Mike Burton, and Quinn Bailey, offensive linemen. I expect them to make some more moves, as well as try to find a veteran quarterback to compete to whoever they draft coming up here in April.
Awesome, Corey. Now, I know biggest talking point that we've been talking about a lot since we heard the news is we're moving on from Russ. Now, in this free agency, who could we be looking at ahead of the NFL draft as QB options for the Broncos here?
Well, those options are dwindling. They wanted Sam Darnold. They lost that bidding war with the Vikings last night. As who they could get coming up at 5:30, I'm breaking this down further, but a few names to throw out there. Ryan Tannehill, a lot of experience in this league, won a lot of games. He's 35 years old, though, and he struggled last season, throwing more interceptions and touchdowns. Jimmy Garoppolo, will be released by the Raiders on Wednesday. It's another guy to look at. As for some kind of younger quarterback, Zach Wilson, potentially a trade with the Jets. I really don't like that. Zach's kind of a locker room issue as well as a bust, but also Josh Dobbs, Jake Browning, a guy who played well when Joe Burrow got hurt in Cincinnati. That's some names to look out for, just to get a veteran presence in the locker room to help out with whatever quarterback they decide the draft in the NFL draft to compete. I like Jimmy Garoppolo the most. I think he could be a serviceable starting quarterback for a few games next year. Let the young quarterback learn and develop. I think Jimmy G kind of fits the Sean Payton system, and he can also help develop whoever they draft. That's the way I would go, is just wait till the Raiders release Jimmy G, try to sign him on a 1 or 2 year deal.
Now, Corey, free agency, it's just starting to ramp up. We're still looking ahead to more. What are your biggest expectations for the Broncos, other than, I guess, that QB search during this period?
Well, they also lost Josie Jewell as well. I forgot to mention that. He signed a 3-year deal with the Carolina Panthers, so they're going to have to find a linebacker. Also going to have to get a center. Lloyd Cushenberry, one of the best centers in the NFL. They're going to have to get that. They traded Jerry Jeudy. I expect Marvin Mims to move into that second receiver position. Look out for potentially a scat kind of back, a running back, as well as potentially a tight end as well. They have a lot of positions of need on this Denver Broncos football team. Expect them to get younger as they try to rebuild and kind of have an identity that Sean Payton wants in Denver.
Awesome. Now, Corey, I know you're getting ready for a newscast coming up in the next 10, 12 minutes here. Is there anything we're missing? Anything that you really want to double down on? Anyone in the comments, if you guys have any questions for Corey in the next couple of minutes before we wrap up. But Corey, I guess, anything I'm missing? Anything we really need to focus on?
In my opinion, I think they're going to be aggressive in the NFL draft, Lauren. I really do. I think they're going to go out and try to find their quarterback, whether it's trade up to 6 or 7 to get J.J. McCarthy, or even potentially going in the top 5 to go get a Drake May, they would have to go to 1 for Caleb Williams and get a lot. I don't think they do that. They might trade 3 first to go get Caleb Williams. I'd be shocked. But if that's Sean Payton's guy, that's Sean Payton's guy. But really, I think it's J.J. McCarthy jumping ahead of a few teams. Atlanta's off the board now for quarterback. They just signed Kirk Cousins. I still think Minnesota drafts a QB, although they got Sam Darnold. The Raiders just got Gardner Minshew, a guy that was throwing around the Broncos a little bit. I think they still draft a quarterback as well. So you're going to have to jump ahead of that 7-6 range, right, to go land a J.J. McCarthy because his stock is rising. I'm hearing the Giants liking him a lot at 9. Bo Nix, I'm not really a fan of, to be honest, Lauren. I watched him way too much at Auburn. He was a 6-6 quarterback who struggled, then went to Oregon and played well. I'm not all on board the Bo Nix train. If they do want Bo Nix, they could trade back to around 19, 20, 21, 22. Another quarterback to look out for, if they don't draft one in the first round or trade up into the second round, is Michael Pratt of Tulane. Sean Payton knows this guy well. He practiced at the Saints facility a lot when Sean was there, won a lot at Tulane in the third round. That's a guy I would look out for as well.
Awesome. Well, Corey, I think the biggest example of it yesterday, this thing ever changing, everything's changing every minute, was that Will Lutz to the Jaguars, back to the Broncos. This is constantly changing.
Sean Payton made that call, Lauren.
He made that call?
Sean knows Will very, very well. As you know, Sean has a very good relationship with Will Lutz. He got Will Lutz in a trade after the Saints were about to release him. Will Lutz is his boy. He called Will. He's like, hey, Will, what you doing, man? What you doing? That's why he's back in Denver.
But that was, I guess, quite a quick switch over. So lots of things changing quickly during this free agency. I know you'll have the latest updates. You're keeping an eye on it constantly, but you'll have the latest updates coming up here at 5:30. So we want to wrap up here on Facebook. Again, thank you so much, Corey, for taking the time to kind of talk about this as this period's ramping up. Maybe we'll talk about it again later, sort of towards the end of free agency, see how things have changed, how things have happened. But again, thanks for taking the time to chat with me. Go get ready for that newscast. Keep an eye on some of those things that are happening right now. For those of you at home, we're going to leave you with a live look from downtown Colorado Springs. Thanks for joining us.